Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Smash Those Small Pads. It's a collaboration with Bourbon Creek Crafts, who is Beth here on YouTube, and Stampin' Cat on Instagram. And the links are down in the description box below, and you can expand that with a little arrow if you're not used to that, and read other information too. So each month we pick a 6x6 pad out of our stash, and the idea is just to smash it, whatever you want to make. It could be cards, it could be embellishments. This was a tricky one. This is Microcosmos by Ciao Bella, and it is super detailed florals. So when I looked at this, I thought, this is going to be hard for cards. Some of these were scenes on a 6x6 piece of paper. So I looked around at embellishments I'd made in the past. I watched some videos, but every single thing I stopped and thought, what works for this piece of paper? So it was hard. And I worked on it in bits, like one morning before work, I'd make one, then I'd go to work. So it wasn't production or assembly line at all. And here's what I have left. I have maybe enough to make another little mini pocket like you're going to see. This paper is cute, but compared to these others, it really didn't do it justice. And then there's daisies on the back of this, and then there's a snail. I'm not really into snails, so I'm not going to toss these, but I'm going to set them aside maybe as I use these or for something else. And let me show you what I made. I did a couple of Beth's top of the page bookmarks. These just tuck in and go over the top in a journal. So they go something like this. And I had some stickers out from something else, so I used a couple of the green ones. There's too much stuff on this page. So I made that one, and then this one. And again, these were really tricky because they're scenery. So maybe those flowers are upside down, but they do look really good. This was a paper that had 4 separate images on it, so I brainstormed a little bit about how to fold them. Just really using each paper. They were kind of complex. This one was a little easier. My envelope is crooked, but I didn't love this side with this striped busyness, so I put that on the inside, and I did love this one. I did some of these when I was away from home, so I didn't have my scoreboard and all my tools. So almost everything you see here, you could do with brand new papercraft or supplies. I used a corner rounder. I did a lot of folding without a scoreboard because I wasn't at home. And I used glue and scissors. I mean, nothing too fancy here. These were layered pockets. And I have a little tag in one here. I have something in here and a couple. But you can see this one I left small. I wanted this to show. And then I wanted all these to show. And I rounded the corners and inked this with light blue ink, tumbled glass. And then the back for this one, I would probably glue it on because I don't necessarily want to see this. If I used it as a tip out on a journal page, I would probably put some tea-dyed paper over it. And then this one, I didn't glue the sides here. So you can put something larger in there. Let me show you so it makes sense. That could stick out the side if you want. They don't have to be just this narrow width. And I aligned these so you can see the hummingbirds coming out here, the birds coming out here, and the butterfly. And in fact, I don't know how to show you, but on some of these, this layer right here doesn't go all the way down to the bottom because I didn't have enough paper. I just lined it up so the part that mattered showed. This one, I didn't ink the edges. I did round the corners. I tried to make them all a little different. I have, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 unfinished nature journals behind me and around me. So there are plenty of spots for these. Look at this one. I adjusted it so these flowers show. Then I have the daisy with the butterfly. And this angle was just cut with my paper cutter or a pair of scissors because of the daisy. That's how I decided. It wasn't anything fancy. And then I did stitch on some of them when I got home. I used my sewing machine to stitch. And then the back's super cute too. So I don't know, you might want to tip out because you could journal right there. Hummingbird, same idea, making the butterfly and the flower show and the hummingbird. And then I inked, so you can see it's a pocket, and stitched it. But I left it wide too. If you have too many places in your journal that are all narrow like this, it feels restrictive to me. So I wanted to make them bigger, but I was using 6x6, so 3 inches was a pretty normal width. This one would be nice for a tip out because you can write on the back. Let's see. Oh, I have some more kind of like that. Look at this one. So this one is, I think this was when I was down to the end with scraps. I realized I hadn't torn any, so I did some with torn edges. And this is an example of that pocket does not go all the way down to the end. In fact, it's not very straight right here. I need to trim it. And I can feel this paper right here stops right here. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. It'll keep things in line. But I got to keep the hummingbird and the butterfly showing, then my dragonfly and my ladybug. Super cute, huh? This one I'll glue on, but this is an example of the paper I made this with. I looked at each piece of paper and tried to figure out, okay, how can I make this work? They were very complex. So here I have a bee and then some green to break it up. There were also a lot of directional papers in here. At first, I started using this one and I didn't notice it had the words. And then the flowers, really cute. But see how they're different, like they're inked with different ink, or some are torn, some are rounded, some are not. I just had a blast. And then this one, this is not like some fancy cutter or anything. I took the 2 pieces of paper and cut the angle at the same time, and then I moved them apart and spaced it. And this one, I was trying to keep the daisy and the butterfly, get a bit of this, show your dragonfly. Super fun. Little pockets. And I was very careful to make things that I knew would get used. I like this little thing. I had it in one of these pockets earlier. Just can go right in here and the little hummingbird can peek out. But it was just a cute scrap and I thought, oh, I like the hummingbird. So each one of them was tricky. This is where I didn't realize it was directional. Grass and then upside down words. And I put a Dream Big sticker on it because I had it sitting out and it was green. And it's just a little envelope. And I've made these before with other papers. I should probably have put something right here to so it's a tag to keep it closed, but sometimes I put them in a pocket. This is a long story. Gail Augustinelli did a video recently where she took hand lotion, wadded it up with paper, and that's what this is. And it starts with an M, big long word, Magagabambi, I don't know. Andrea said that years ago, paper bags and hair conditioner were a thing. So it's kind of the same idea. It feels like fabric-y or leather now. It also smells pretty good. I thought it would be fun in one of the journals. I haven't sewed them yet, so I can still have lots of pages that are stitched in. Speaking of journals and not stitched in, let me show you these. These were, really, really simple, but I stopped and thought about each one. So this could be a page in a journal. It could either just be tucked in and stitched and anywhere up or down in it. Let me show you an example. These are clearly very early stage journals, not sewed yet or anything. So it would go right here, and you could attach things here. You could attach things on this side. It has a little pocket. The other thing is on this side, you could glue here, and then this becomes a pocket right here that you can tuck stuff into. So on the smaller side, you might do that. It's more interesting than just folding it at 3 inches and having half and half. And I was trying to get these big, beautiful images. So I did that one. And then that's the kind of thing I would do with this also. This one I probably wouldn't glue down just because it feels so amazing. I think the person would want it to flip and flop. This one, again, it could either be glued at each end or it can become like a mini page that you hook stuff to or journal on. And then look at this. The dragonfly and everything is captured. Do you think that one's upside down? Yeah, it would go like this. Okay, and then this is the same paper, but I folded it differently. So it'll lay out different in a journal. And then we already saw this one. I just loved those and I didn't want to chop them up. I wanted to keep the image. Here's that blue butterfly paper again. And on the inside of this one, I've put these just so you can see where the pockets are nicely. I've got pocket with the little dragonfly. And then this one is also a tuck spot over here. So I've taken that piece of paper and made it like this. This was an idea in one of Gail's videos, I think. And you've seen me make the pockets before. Who knows where all those came from. This one I had a blast with. I took the daisies and I fussy cut them and inked the edges, and then I used that as my pocket. So it'll have a neat shape when you tuck something in there. And I inked the edge to make it pop and rounded the corners. I really like that one. That was a fun one. I didn't do that right at the beginning, so I couldn't really repeat it because I'd already probably done other weird things like maybe this. On this one, I've got the hummingbird down here and a tiny bit of inking. My guess is I had already glued it down and then went, I want that pocket to show more. But look, that'll be gorgeous to journal on. So that one I would definitely want to be a tip out. So it tips out like you'd glue it here and then make it so it folds out and you'd write on the back of it. And if you're not really into junk journaling, maybe you haven't seen some of these techniques or they don't interest you, but I do have some cards too. Here, the blue butterfly, you know, that's my favorite paper. And then on the inside, I put a little tiny pocket just because I had a scrap, so I used it. And then I tore a piece of tea-dyed paper, inked the edges, and put it on there to journal on. And then these were in Gail's video too, and I mixed them up a little bit. They open up. This one has the tea-dye paper to write on. And then you would decorate the front. You would put some sort of big, pretty embellishment that would fold or tuck it into a pocket, put something cute up here. And then this one, I put a tuck spot right there, one of the things of paper. And later when I go to put the journal together, I could stamp there or put a message or sentiment. So I thought that was fun. One of them is really a pocket inside the pocket sort of thing. Then this hummingbird, I was like, I have to make a card out of this. So I came home and I got some mirror paper so I didn't have to worry about my pinks or greens matching. And then I put sympathy across the bottom. I went back and forth, but this is an image that probably a very mature person would like. And some of my sentiments that fit down here were just a little too sassy. They didn't work. So I was looking for like the right happy birthday or the right size sympathy. And I really like this one. Then this one, my happy birthday is a little crooked, but I had this green back in my pile of things I started in some other video. Maybe it was Smash Our Stash. And I couldn't find any more of this green paper. I think I used it all, which is one of the bummers about like using up your scraps and making volume and not having it, is I couldn't find it to mat this or add a layer or this. So what I decided to do here was tear this, which I like, lay it across this leaf, and then I put the happy birthday on there and I layered a piece of paper behind it on each end so it wasn't like wobbly. And I like it, but honestly, this tag got a little crooked on me. Still, it's a cute birthday card. And then, of course, each one of them has a cute little scrap in there. And then my last pockets are, this was a little tuck thing in one of my pages I lost. I'll put it back somewhere. It can go right here for now. This one was just scraps at the end. And I was imagining this horizontal on a page because it does have writing. And if you hooked it up there, I wouldn't want to do a tip out. See, I was experimenting with stamping on those and using them. But I think you could glue it here and then have this little tuck spot and then a tuck spot behind on the top of the page. And corners up at the top work great for tuck spots. And again, same idea. I had two scraps, so this will be a pocket and then behind it will be a pocket and you'll have this cute little bee. It is smashed. It is gone. Super complex paper pad to smash. It did not lend itself well because of these big images to just, chopping it up assembly line and making cards or something with it. You could have done a whole bunch of cards though, where you got a cardstock layer in the back, a nice green or cream or yellow or pink. And then maybe you cut this about 3.5 inches by 5 and layered it on the card mat. And then you could keep these big images. Maybe you just put a die cut or a stamp that says happy birthday. And you'd have a perfectly beautiful card. But I don't know, just that it didn't speak to me to use it that way. And I really wanted to be sure I didn't end up with like a piece of this paper that I wasn't sure what to do with. So sometimes when I looked at a piece of paper, I planned the whole thing before I chopped it. I know, there was planning. It was very strange for me. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out the links down below so you can go see Beth and Kathy. I'll be back again soon. I don't think you've seen the 4th, which is the final in the pool liner journal series. That process video was so long, it's actually 4 videos. I have some happy mail I haven't opened. Thank you to Tony and Nancy and Emily. I did get your packages. I just haven't opened them yet. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.